Americans who rallied against Joe Biden and other political thugs who assumed pandemic power to lock down businesses and label some workers essential and non-essential, well, they now have new opportunities to protest that very same mentality. And in doing so, they can see how they too might have bought into the pernicious act of government picking winners and losers. But this is under a different guise. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Yes, in good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, man of the people, Joe Biden, on April 17th, announced his plan to not only continue Trump-instituted tariffs against imported steel, but to expand and triple those tariffs. This is immoral, economically destructive, and no different than the COVID-era mendacity of political elites picking favored essential and disfavored non-essential businesses. Not surprisingly, Biden was speaking to a special interest bloc in the form of a labor union, exposing how easily the politician-special interest relationship can be wielded to harm average American consumers. Joey Garrison of USA Today writes, quote, Biden, during an address Wednesday, April 17th, to leaders of the United Steelworkers Union in Pittsburgh, called on his United States Trade Representative Katherine Tai to consider tripling the existing 7.5% average tariff rate on Chinese steel and aluminum under Section 301 of the Trade Expansion Act to, you got it, up to 25%. Again, for those supporting tariffs, for whatever reason, one hopes that they see the truth that such a dark embrace supports the notion of government choosing essential and non-essential businesses and jobs. That's collectivism. That is immoral, and it's economically cataclysmic. Most people likely recognize economic competition, which is the driver of better living standards and our ability to get more for less toil and expense. We welcome seeing one seller offer something at a lower price than the other seller. But politicians and special interests, such as unions, weave narratives that the very same competitive activity, when conducted by people from outside the U.S., is somehow malignant. In Pittsburgh, Biden even dipped into the fairy world to claim that such competition, get this, was not competition. And Amtrak Joe is not the only political person to spread such idiotic nonsense. Notes Garrison about Biden's threat, quote, with the move, Biden is borrowing from the trade playbook of former President Donald Trump, the Republican presumptive nominee who routinely raised tariffs on Chinese goods during his 4 years in office. The inescapable results of Trump's tariffs were devastating. As I noted in 2018, Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs even imposed a doubling of the tariff cost on beer can makers. Automobile makers, building material manufacturers, and others saw higher prices, which in large part were translated into higher prices for consumers. That money went to the U.S. government and to people like those anti-competitive union members who recently, you got it, applauded Biden. It didn't stay in consumer pockets, and it didn't get invested in new businesses or new jobs. Tariffs took those opportunities away. And tariffs not only are immoral threats by third parties against willing participants in market exchange, they also lead to more rent-seeking by new special interests who want to jump onto the government favoritism train and force consumers to work harder for what they want. To put it in easy reference terms, I often show students the ancient simple machines developed by cavemen to reduce the labor they'd have to employ in order to live. Things like the inclined plane and lever allowed one man to do the work that formerly required two men. And that's a good thing. It allows freeing up of potential skills and labor, time and effort and expertise, and opens up whole new fields of endeavor that wouldn't have appeared if the second man were forced to keep working at the first task. Tariff proponents can be likened to ancient people who might have lobbied Caveman Biden to prevent the use of the lever or inclined plane, claiming that allowing people to use such tools puts the second man out of work. Of course, if that's the case and freeing up someone to do something else is a bad thing, well, why not increase the toil needed to get what we want? Why not destroy the lever and the inclined plane and get rid of labor-saving tools? Why not go even further and tie one arm behind a man's back, forcing him to hire another man to do the job that he might have been able to do alone? Work is not the goal of a market. Consumers throughout history have shown that they don't want to labor more for the betterment of their lives. They want to labor less, be more efficient, allow for division of labor, and get things from others who focus on what they do well. Why engage in work you don't do well if you have skills on which you can concentrate and you can leave the other work to specialists in their fields? That's what free trade is all about. And as James Bovard notes in a powerfully important new piece for the Mises Institute, the history of tariff impositions in the U.S. is one of politicians and bureaucrats picking and choosing winners. They force consumers to pay more, and they make all of us worse off. We all lose when political thugs like Biden tell us they know better than we do how to peacefully spend our own money. Their plans, like these new plans from Biden, well, they're not peaceful, and the outcomes are unavoidable. They lead to higher costs for us, including opportunity costs that take away our choices to save, invest, and start new businesses. In his book, The Fair Trade Fraud, James Bovard spells out that consumers are harmed 8 times the amount that special interests are so-called helped when Biden-like politicians impose tariffs on foreign goods. The real help that U.S. businesses could use, the help that they need to become more competitive, isn't a tariff. It's a removal of government regulations, wage mandates, and taxes that burden them so terribly. The moral precept of leaving one's neighbor in peace translates to leaving sellers and buyers free to trade. But Biden doesn't embrace that precept, and he continues the essential versus non-essential collectivism with tariff threats now. Americans who opposed such political distinctions a couple of years ago, and of course opposed the edicts during the lockdowns, well, hopefully they can see the same arrogance in tariff mandates. And it's a timeless lesson for all generations. If you know someone who supports tariffs, try saying to that person, "Oh, so you support economic central planning?" Because that's the truth. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, share the videos far and wide. Catch us at Rumble, where they don't censor us. It's a follow at Rumble. Check us at Rumble, hit the follow. We'd love to see you there. And of course, if you do want to go to YouTube, please subscribe over there. But watch out, because they do engage in censoring. You can also find us anytime at MRCTV.org. MRCTV.org is the place. You can see the whole team, what they're doing there. And while you're there, please visit the MRC Store and consider contributing to the Media Research Center. We'd appreciate that very much. Of course, you can always find us inside Facebook. You can check us out on TikTok, on Instagram, and you can also find us over at Twitter/X. If you want to find me, I'm on Gab as at Gardner Goldsmith, and I'm on X as at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please share the videos, especially with people who might be interested in learning about economics, that sort of thing. Lots of good information from good people like James Bovard in particular. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.